Good morning, you all. We already starting off with a little click technical difficulties. Apologize for the wrong screen going up. But welcome again to another Master Relationship Mechanics show. Actually, we had not even scheduled this show today because we are on the road out and about. But as you all know, I am obedient to the urging of God. I always try to be obedient and show up when He says so. And this month was already the theme about laboring, the labor that we do in life, because God said we were going to always have to labor because we got outside of Eve. So this month is about labor because, we always talk about in October, the harvest. So this morning we started this conversation about the scripture, and I do want you all to go there with me so you all know what the scriptural foundation for this show is. If you all didn't know, the master is God. He is the master of all of our relationships, and He is allowing us to be relationship mechanics on this journey. So if you all will go with me to Proverbs 13:22, and it says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So when we're talking about this inheritance, what are we leaving? What is that legacy that we're talking about that we're leaving our children's children? So I think I got really three main questions. We're going to answer them from ourselves, like we're going to say is kitchen talk. So we're going to stay in our pots and our dishes and our season and our recipes. But I want you to think about it for you all selves too, for the people that are watching live, the people that are watching in replay. I want you to think about these questions when you're thinking about an inheritance. What's the legacy that you're leaving? So first of all, what is the meaning of legacy? That's going to be one question we talk about. What's the meaning of legacy to us? What is it that we're trying to leave to our children's children? What is legacy? Then how do we build this legacy to make sure that we're leaving this inheritance? And then thirdly, who are our children and who are our children? So you're talking about when we're talking about in blended families, when we're talking about blood. So when we have these definitions, what is our particular assignment? And so today I really want you to get a revelation of what your assignment, who is it that you should be speaking to on this journey? And I'm excited today because the last time I was here on this stream, I set aside time to do a special show with a special group, and it was my first time going to be streaming on LinkedIn. So today, this is even a great place to be in a business space on LinkedIn and an entrepreneur space, so we can talk about this inheritance and talk about what are we working toward every day on this journey of life. What is it that we're really working toward? And I really want to give a little undergirding of that scripture before we get too far into this discussion, because there was a purpose, there was a reason for every scripture to be put in the Bible. And a lot of times, we'll take it out of context to mean what we want it to mean, to do what we want to do. Y'all know we'll take scripture to make it mean anything, especially if we're trying to get our kids to do something very specific. So let's understand that. But the meaning behind the scripture, actually, it speaks to God dividing the sinner's wealth. So it's talking about if you're a sinner, you're not going to be leaving anything for your next generation and next generation, because God is going to divide it and give it to the righteous. So I wanted to start off there first, because you can't leave a legacy to your kids unless you are already have a spiritual foundation. So that kind of turns us into our conversation, because I know we were talking about what's a legacy. And the thing is, you got to have something spiritual to leave your kids, a level of integrity and character. So saying that, babe, me and you have these kitchen talks at home all the time, but we on the road and we always keep these conversations going. So when we were talking, what do you think of as a legacy? What does that mean to you, legacy?
Oh, well, that's great. What I mean is they was really strong in my heart is character, and that's my focus point of leaving my kids is character, because character in myself is the foundation of life itself. And once if we develop character and really just focus on character, I think that's the starting point of being successful in your status in life, especially the Almighty Father. I strive on character because so many things that can come out of establishing character.
Yeah, and when I hear character, I always think about, in the scripture where it says we're supposed to become more like Jesus every day. So we're supposed to lose some of this fleshly stuff, and our character is supposed to become more like Jesus. And then when I think about that, the greatest character we're supposed to have, the greatest trait we're supposed to have is love. That's the thing that I owe every one of my brothers and sisters, whether you in Christ or out of Christ. I owe you love. And so when we're teaching our kids character, are we teaching them what the real definition of love is, or is it they're waiting for people to give them love or applaud them or celebrate them, or have they learned how to love others? And that's what it made me think about. Love kind of like is that foundation. Are we leaving the legacy of love, or have we created such a hate in our society? Or are we leaving the legacy of hate? So that's just a question, and go ahead and give us some more feedback on that. What is it? Your thought about love? What's your thought about character? Integrity, because all those things to me are character. Love, integrity, those things are part of an individual's, their fiber. Because I know the word says whatever comes out of a man's mouth is actually the abundance of his heart. And that comes, what's the abundance of our heart is what we dwell on and what we think on all the time. So if we speak evil or negativity, those are what aligns our actions. A lot of times people say, oh, I'm just joking. I never do that. But the thing is, you speak those things into existence because they are the abundance of your heart, even if it's from a hurt place. That is where your heart dwells. And that's why I say we really have to work on that. So give us a little bit more.
Okay. And then the next thing that really gets me.
No, finish there, baby. Finish, because I want people to understand what you mean by that character. Don't dwell over, don't jump past that too fast.
My wife always keeps me in a proper spot. But another thing is, I remember you be talking about this all the time, is first of all, to maintain character and build a character, make character grow, we have to learn how to get out of self way. And that's very important.
Yes.
Because that can hinder our
growth.
Mm-hmm. And we have to. That's another thing we have to work on, getting on self way, because that stops the flow of everything. Keep you in the kitchen cooking the same kind of eggs all the time.
Good morning, Michael Cannon. Happy Saturday to you as well.
And we have to work on self, because self is that's another good one too. But it's amazing that we don't recognize that we are in our own way.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about in our own way,
what I mean,
when we're talking about the legacy that we're leaving, so we're teaching other people how to personally self-develop themselves. When you're talking about moving out your own way, that selfish pride and all those things that we have that allow us. And when you talk about our own way, it makes me think about pride. It makes me think about pride when you say that, moving it out of our own way. So how do we teach people not to be, and I mean, not to be confident? Because I think when people say don't be prideful, I think people get that confused. Don't have confidence in yourself, or don't be secure in yourself. But I think when you get to a level of prideful, the difference is having confidence, and the difference is being secure in yourself, is knowing who God made you to be and walking into those assignments. But pride, the difference is pride is that you forget that God has done all those things for you, that you begin to think that you are the master of your own life.
No.
And I believe that's when pride comes into place, because you believe that you can fix everything for you, for yourself, for other people. As long as you follow your plan, everything is going to work out for your good. And that's not what it is. It don't say your plan.
No, don't say it, man. That's good that you say that, because that's we have to, you saying how we're going to be able to teach our kids and people that's involved with us to learn how to get out of self-way, is we have to be able to remove the itch. Now, when I remove the itch, what I mean, and when you feel like your skin is wrinkling, that means when you just thinking about yourself on it and seeing what kind of benefit that you can get out of your decision, that's called get you still in self-way. Because if I'm do this, put myself involved, and if I don't get, if my belly don't be full in the kitchen, I'm not going to participate. And that's what I'm talking about, is that's not going to work, because you going into the situation for one reason and one reason only: self.
So when you talk about that, it started off, the initial word it gave me is about personal and self-development, so that we learn how not to be proudful. How do we pass that on people to not be proudful? And then how do you next level, how do you learn how to serve? Move out of the way where you're not being served. It's not all about self, but how do you teach the next generation how to serve, where everything you do is not about serving yourself. So that's why I said you gave some great words on that journey. And what that really leaves with me is we should be leaving a legacy of wisdom, some instruction. Because even when you leave somebody financial, we're going to talk about financial, because I know everybody wants to make sure they're, investing, leaving their kids in a good place so that they can have money to do things that they couldn't do. But make sure that you are leaving them with wisdom and instruction to do something great with it for others, so it is actually multiplied and is serving others. You don't want to just leave them a legacy and it be all about just take care of me, and then they don't know how to build upon your legacy to leave something for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. Because what the word said is a good man, and it's a good man according to God's definition of good. So we have to realize a good man according to God is somebody who is godly, because it says it will divide a sinner stuff amongst the righteous. And godly does not mean perfect. So us going back and checking our I's and T's is just really about, have you done the things that you were supposed to do in order to leave something to your next generation? And leaving something to your next generation, when they're talking about that, is really on this journey of who are you raising, who are you molding when they're talking about next generation. Because all through the scripture, it talks us how we should be dealing with the next generation. It talks about we should be teaching God's ways to the next generation, because that's what Titus 2 is about. Us as women teaching younger women, men teaching younger men. So it's all about the passing on of wisdom and information of the word. So it is wisdom of the word and how we apply it to our life here in the world. It does no good to obtain all this wisdom and we actually don't know how to apply it. So that is just like you giving money to somebody and you haven't given them the wisdom to learn how to apply it and multiply it so that they still have something to leave for the next generation and the next generation. Yes, you were good because you left something for the next generation and next generation, but have you created a next generation that is going to be good and not just plunder what you gave them? So that is kind of covering that first question. What is legacy? So legacy is kind of about wisdom, direction, that we're leaving. So that we're talking about, when we talk about that, we're talking about the mental health to be able to deal with the money, whether you lose it or whether you gain it. You have the integrity and the strength to know how to remake it and rebuild it. Good morning. Good morning. Love you too, lady. We got to see you when we get back in town. So the thing is, we really have to be very cautious on this journey, that when we say legacy, I don't want people to only think about that they're out here working to create just a financial house for their kids. We have to make sure we're creating a mental, emotional, and spiritual legacy, that we are leaving them in a whole house of peace.
But the easy part of talking about, it's more easier for financial leaders than anything. The hardest part is spiritual and mental legacy. That's the
and the
hardest
emotional,
part.
yeah. It's easy for us to out here work to get money.
Yeah.
What do people say? I can always make another $1.15.
Yeah.
But the thing that you can't give me back is the time that I miss pouring into you or sharing with you or giving you that simple thing. So, and I want to say that, what does that look like in our family? Because we don't want to just throw things out there. What does that look like in our kitchen, for legacy? And I think about, I have grown kids, have grandkids. So I have to think about, what is it when they talk about me when I'm gone? What will they say? What will be the legacy that I have left? And that's what you got to think about. Is what will the conversation be about that you left, not just the dollar amount that you left in the bank. People will appreciate your money, but when it's gone, or when there was no instruction with it, what will people say about you? Will they say that you taught me how to be a good steward? Yes, the wisdom and the God in me. Make sure that wisdom and the God within you, that we aren't hoarding it. We're pouring it on to our kids and our kids' kids, so that they are able to carry it from generation to generation. Because a lot of us have the wisdom of God with us in us. A lot of us are a light, but are we positioning ourselves on the hill? As God said, or we are being the light on the hill to guide other people to God, not guide other people to us. We standing on the light so we can be on Hollywood Boulevard so other people can see us. But are we guiding people to God? That's the true legacy, because that's the true word and the true thing that we're supposed to be doing. And when I say we lead people to God, it does not mean you have to be a pastor, it does not mean you have to be a minister, but whatever your particular assignment, are you leading people to it so that it is being filled by somebody? Otherwise, what you did, what will it end? And that's what I'm saying. Was your labor in vain? Was it only for your lifetime, or did you leave it so that your service was poured into your kids? And I don't mean my kids take over this business, but there's somebody else that will have passion enough to pick up where we're leaving off and say, hey, these things need to continue because they were impactful, they were powerful. There were seeds that you placed out there that are growing, and trees everywhere. So that jumps us to the next question. But I do want to say, first of all, what does that legacy look like in our household? First of all, we want to be the image that our kids see as a good relationship. I didn't say perfect, and I should say a godly relationship. By no means, nobody has a perfect relationship, but a godly relationship in the sense that we are able to still flow in unconditional love for each other, no matter what happens. Yes. Yes, you keep people on fire. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, and that's the journey that we are talking about, this legacy, because I don't want people to say, hey, I got a will, I've been investing, I got a 401k plan. Those are great things. I'm telling you, do those things. Leave property, leave legacy, build that legacy, but make sure you are telling them to do the spiritual work so that they can become a good, godly person and stay righteous, so what you left does not turn around and get divided to the other centers. So otherwise, the work that you have done become labor in vain. And that's why I said, I want everybody's labor to be fruitful, everybody's labor to continue to multiply even after they go into their spirit life with God. I want what you leave and what you work for to mean something forever and ever and ever and ever. So those are the things when I say that. And it says, what will they say about you when you go? What does the dash represent in your life? And I just want everybody to think about that. And I mean, my kids aren't on here, and you know what I'm gonna do for y'all? I'm gonna just do a little clip and let my kids put on here. I'm not gonna look at it because I know y'all gonna say, "Oh, you made your kids say that." No, I'm on. As a matter of fact, I'm just putting the assignment out. I'm gonna tag them in this and let them say it on their own. I'm not gonna even call them. I'm not gonna text them. I'm gonna just make them a part of this assignment, and I'll even make you a part of this assignment. You are here. You know me. What is it, the seeds that I planted in your life? If somebody has to say, who is Courtney to you, what do you remember about me? So if you can say this in the live with the replay, or what do you say about us? You know, what do you say about us? If we pass away, what do you say about us as a couple? You know, what do you say that we did and we planted? So just think about that as those seeds in life. And I know that was question number one. What is legacy? And it's the line. What do people say about the line? It's not your obituary, because people get in there and say all kind of things in the obituary. But what do they say after they leave the church? And that is the key part. And what do they say? Continuing. Thank you. Yes, coach all the way around. Thank you. So on this journey, baby. So, and that's just a touch. Because the legacy is like making sure you have mental health, emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, financial health. Legacy is putting up a foundation of peace around next generation and defining what that peace looks like. So it actually means having a relationship and a conversation with your kids so they can understand what that looks like for them. A lot of times we think money solves all problems. And a lot of times that is not even what your kids want from you. They want the legacy of a relationship so they can have that reminder and that remember. Now, I'm not saying they don't want your money, but they want the relationship first so that they can understand the foundation of you and what was your reasoning behind that. So that's what I'm saying. It's a balance. It's a balance on this journey. Yeah. Prioritizing that relationship in the right way. What was that second question, babe? You know mine. I know we're supposed to be asking 3 questions. What is legacy? Oh, how we're building. That's right. That's all right. How are we building legacy? Ooh, thank you, see. All I do is talk to you for a minute and you'll help me out. Praise be to God. You know how sometimes you have to talk to yourself, busy self for me. Since we become one, we sit there and talk to each other and it reminds self of where we need to be. And like I said, this was not a plain conversation this morning. We really just wanted to share this off the cuff with you because I think we really have some interesting behind the scene conversations and not just marriage relationship, because I don't want people to put us in that category, but our relationship, as this show says, our best relationships with God, self, and others. Good morning, Pele. Thank you for joining us. We're on this journey. We started off the question, and I want to make sure if everybody's jumping in, kind of answer this question for themselves. What is legacy? What is legacy? You know, so you can rewind back. You know, we gave kind of our definition of it in a broad way. But now we're on this question about how to build legacy. So if we go back to the words that we use, how do you build character? How do you build integrity? You know, it's the words that we use, you know, when you said that. So how do you build those things so that your kids see them? And when I think about all of those words combined together, I think about how do we leave our kids in a place that they can always be resilient, you know? So it's kind of like they have put it on the full armor of God every day. And how the word says, they know they're going out there with weapons, but they know they are never going to be injured because that's what the word says. Everybody's building weapons against them, but if they know how to put on the full armor, that resilience, they stay within that character, they stay within that integrity, they stay within that wisdom. So how do we build that? You know, because we all in the flesh, we all get a point of explosiveness, but how do we build that full armor around ourselves? And I'm gonna give it to you because you started us off with those words.
Another great question. And it's what we need to do is teach them all 4 corners of life. What I mean by teach them a 4 corners, not get them prepared for to be protected when they go out into the world is just don't teach them how to go south. And that's the only way to go because it's gonna be a hard road just going south. You got north, south, east, and west. So you have to teach them how to.
It's more than one way to get someplace.
Yeah, and my meaning of saying that we have to, when we sit down, when we explain to our kids and our loved ones, you know, we have to get them all the way out. Give them ways out. There's a way out of everything. There's a solution to everything, and there's building the legacy based off patience, when I say, what do you mean by patient? Patient mean when you're teaching your kids, it's always different atmosphere for different situations.
I like that word though. How do you build legacy? Start off with patience. And woo, now that lay in our kitchen right there, that word right there. Patience, because patience means I gotta allow you to be you.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta allow you to change every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it takes me back through all my children, because of course you can't expect them to be another child. But then even just coming into our relationship, the patience of allowing each other to grow and to see the difference each other, that creates a legacy because other people see. I don't care what you say. When you say you don't think anybody else is watching, other people are watching. Other people are watching the patience that you have with each other. Other people are watching what that unconditional love looks like in your relationship. Your kids see how you talk and conversate with them, and they know if you are talking from a place of patience with them, allowing them truly to be themselves. So, and I think really that word can almost really encompass all of legacy. Absolutely. Because when you're talking about patience does not mean I want you to do things my way. Patience means I want you to follow your own individual calling. I am leaving you tools to help you get to your calling. And the thing is, do we listen? And that's the biggest skill of patience.
That's the part right there. That's the part that I'm saying. Having patience, develop patience, because your kids that you're talking to, they know so much about you, they're going to challenge you. They're going to ask you, Mom, Dad, what do you really mean by this? And especially when you told them the same thing 5 times and they keep coming back to you with the same thing. I mean, you got to be patient, because the reason they come back to you asking the same to input that again, there's a reason for that. And you say, well, okay, we'll get to that next time. Let's go to this next thing.
Oh, it just made me envision a picture, Hummingbird. That's our little nickname for our granddaughter, Hummingbird. And y'all can look up the definition of Hummingbird. It has some wonderful names behind it that really Hummingbird. So y'all can look it up. But I mean, it's just cute and very meaningful behind us. But when we talk about patience, the next generation, when you're leaving something, they will try your patience. And the first thing we want to say, well, we're going to cut them out of our will. And the thing is, are we using our wills as manipulations against the next generation just to do things our way in order to get the legacy? And the thing is, that's not according to God's word. If you're leaving them something, leave them the wisdom, leave them the relationship. Don't leave them with the manipulation of you won't get a penny or a dime of my stuff. That's fine. Don't worry about the stuff. Are you pouring into them the patience, the love? And I say that speaking about Hummingbird, and we're not cutting her out of our wheel, so that's not what we're saying. But my whole point of saying about her, she's 3. So we have grown kids. And so you're talking about basically when you're a grandparent, being a parent to the next generation, a 3-year-old, there's a different level of patience, because I don't care what you say, God created new kids that come out a little bit smarter, a little bit intelligent, more intelligent. So the thing is, you have to sit and have those conversations. We're real quick to say, do it because I say so. And I can remember a conversation I just had with my granddaughter. I was telling her something, and little kids like to ask why. And the first thing I told her is, I can show you better than I can tell you. And I said, well, get your little iPods up and come on, let's go see why. And so the thing is, do we have the patience to show them why? Or are we really quick in that old school mentality and say, because I said so? And I said so is great in those urgent, quick situations, but we have to have the patience to show them the why and show them the way, because God has the patience with us. And that's the thing. And he shows us, sometimes it hurts what he shows us, because we just not willing to be obedient and just do it because he said so. And that's the thing. Or do we have that same level of patience with our kids? And when I say patience is love for our kids, because sometimes that love does hurt, because you have to show them why that is the right way. Show them. And that is how that's legacy right there. Showing them. showing them that you're using wisdom, showing them that you're making good decisions, showing them the financial plan, is showing them what peace looks like, and having the conversation to know what it is that they want out of life. All of our kids do not want the same thing out of life. So leaving all of them $1 million might not make their life comfortable, because that's not what they want. So understanding is very key. And I know a lot of people think we crazy, because I ask my husband all the time, he's getting ready to do something and getting ready to do something different. I'll be like, oh, is that what you really, really want to do? And you be like, but that's going to change your life. But the thing is, if you really, really don't want to do it, it's only going to change your life for a temporary time frame, because you're not going to stick with it. And that's the thing. You have to teach your kids really about their purpose, their calling, their passion. Are you leaving those things and you showing them how to work within that? And even right here in our kitchen, I can think about some of the times, because now I always tell my kids, oh, you need to rest. You don't need to go to work sick. You don't need to go to work hurt. You don't need to do this, da, 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 da. But did I show them that? My husband laughed, because he know I went to work sick. I went to work hurt. And, I can even remember a conversation my mother had with me. She said, if you're not bleeding or dying, take an aspirin and keep it kicking, And the thing is, have we created that, mentality within our family? And that's the legacy that we're leaving, that we don't need rest, that we don't need to recoup. All of those things are signs that our body is telling us rest and recuperation is necessary. Sometimes we are leaving a legacy that we are pushing our kids to become robotic in this side, or become slaves of the money, whether we left it to them or whether they're chasing it. We need to make sure that we are teaching them. And that's what I'm saying. I'm going to be honest about the flaws and some of the things that I've actually shown my kids, because none of us are perfect. But the thing is, I go back and still have those patient conversations with them and say, hey, I did that, but look at the situation that I'm in. Look at what I've caused, the destruction to myself because of that. And I know you got something to say.
That's that part you say right there is very great. And what I mean about it, because me and you always have a conversation all the time, how our great parents, either our mom and dad, but I'm going back great grandparents, that build a foundation for us, and material wise, that make sure we be comfortable. And when they going to glory land, be sure them to respect how much we love it by getting rid of it, not paying the taxes and stuff on it. And I used to get my blood pressure up, because their parents work hard for that, to fit their kids, make sure they be comfortable. What you just said, something that made me think about that, is the way that how they was taught, the way that how they was given to them, how they was educated about it in a destructive, strong manner.
Yeah, there was no relationship or conversation about this stuff I'm leaving. Oh, I'm leaving you all of this land. What should I do with it? How should I keep it? What is the next step that I should be doing with it? The instruction that came with it. Why am I leaving this to you? What is the purpose of it? Otherwise, some people see that as a burden. And that's why I said you got to make sure you're having a conversation with the person that you're leaving it to, that you're not leaving them a burden, but that you're actually leaving them a blessing. So, and that's the thing. Our legacy is supposed to bless a person, not burden them. And sometimes in our society, we see money as a blessing. Don't get me wrong. Ain't nobody on this earth saying, oh, I want to be poor. I want to be homeless. I want to be destitute. Those are usually not the conversations that people have. And if you notice, this conversation is about productivity and prosperity. So being productive means we're not living a life that we just busy, and productivity means that we are functioning and working within the word. And prosperity is everything in our life is prospering and growing. And that's why I say, if you are so focused on just going to the job and you're not focusing on self-care and the things that your body and things are telling you, that means you only have one thing that you were chasing. God gives us conversations in everyday parts of our lives. And that's why I say, by no means I started off saying we were not perfect people, but also you have to know in your imperfection, how do you come back and have that conversation again to make sure that you are correcting and growing and developing that next generation and that next generation. So I think it's important, because we, like in the last 20 minutes, Well, first 20 minutes, we answered the question, what is legacy in our kitchen? And that portion, we was like, how do we build it? We show it, we talk about it. We are the examples of legacy while we're doing it and building and saving and put it up. We're having the conversations with that next generation. We're being the example of what we want them to look like. But we've had the conversation of what does that look like for them. So that's that 20 minutes. Now, I know this is getting ready to be an interesting question for some of you all. Who are our children? And I say that because a lot of times we think of our children, especially as women, as the only ones that we, actually physically gave birth to, took home, and we on a birth certificate, they say we're a mother. And I'm getting ready to stretch this out a little bit further. Who are our children? Because for me, who are our children is that next generation that comes to you for wisdom, that next generation that comes to you for spiritual information. So it's depending on what your assignment is and how many people have been put in you around your life. So it means not only the people, because you'll have people that call you mother that you have not given birth to. And I say this for the men and the women who don't necessarily have blood kids. You have kids. All of us have children that we are responsible for. And I say that because we don't want to be irresponsible with our legacy because we don't feel like we have children's children. Who are you reaching? Who are you reaching? And when we say children, it could be in your adult life that you have become a spiritual parent to somebody. It could be in your adult life you've become a financial parent to somebody. So parent is not the only way either that you have children. So you could be auntie. And I am honored, when people introduce me to their kids and they be like, oh, this is your Aunt Courtney. So now that means God has given me even another assignment. So be careful if you introduce me to your kids as their auntie, because that means now you have allowed me to say that I can have input. I can pray over them. I can start to have influence and impact in their lives, because the thing is now it's my responsibility to leave them sort a legacy as well. And I say that because, in this world, there are so many contact points for our kids and our kids' kids besides their blood family. It becomes the married family. It becomes the family they connect to in college, or the family they connect to at work, or the family of the friends they connect to. So your kids might call other people mama because of the connection and the wisdom that they have been imparted. Let us not get so offended, because it never takes away your responsibility to still continue to leave them legacy. So we got to be clear on the events. It is just an honor that you have become assigned to leave legacy to someone else. And I think that's very important when we're on this journey. So when you think about children, what's your definition of it? And I know you love children. You'll claim them all.
Yeah, that's my focus point. That's 85% of my occupation when I go out and do service calls on people's vehicles. It's strange when I come up. I think my last customer I did in Stone Mountain, before I came down to see my mom, is meant to work on a 2017 Mercedes-Benz or BMW. But anyway, I came to do the repairs on that vehicle, but a 25-year-old kid got my attention, and but that I came over for was to work on the car. But that kid got my attention. That was more important to me, working on the car and collecting the funds off the car. And I just stopped doing what I'm doing and stopped talking to this kid, because I saw it in this kid's face that he was angry. Not mostly angry, frustrated, disturbed, don't know what's around him. And I ain't never seen this kid, but I just started talking to him. And plus, like my wife said, I love kids. I don't care what culture it is. I love kids. And I started talking to this young man. And from that day on, we still have conversation because his parents came to me and said, "Thank you for talking to the kid," because I was saying this things to him. You were saying the same thing that he didn't understand coming from me. And what I mean, we have to stay into this. We have to stay into this home. The whole world is our home.
Mm-hmm.
We have to stay into the world of home, helping with the kids, because kids, I learned years ago, don't ever say a kid is a bad kid. I learned over years, kid is not a bad kid. Kid is a misguided kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that. And so we have to take, and reason why kids don't understand their parents sometimes, or lose focus of their parents talking to them, because it's a tendency, sometimes we repeat ourselves over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And it really get kind of boring to the
Well, it
kids.
get annoying.
Oh, no,
And we don't, like I said, like my 3-year-old daughter, we don't show them. We just talk to them.
Right.
And we talk to them, and all they see our conversation is being do what I say do.
There you go.
Do what I say do. But it takes a wise parent to be able to open up and allow somebody else to speak in their child's life. Like I was saying, allow somebody else to become an auntie or a surrogate parent in that situation so that they can leave some type of legacy with their child. And so that's what I'm saying. We got to be open enough too, as parents, to know that we're not the only influence, impact people that are planting seeds within our kids' life. So let us not be that closed-minded that we think we're not supposed to be open to that. But also, we're in this society now. I'm not going to say nothing to nobody else's child because they're not mine, and I'm not going to have no impact on it. But the same child that you allow to do something to somebody else could be the child that comes back and do that same thing to you because you decided to turn the see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil monkeys in this world. But the thing is, we need to be open-minded that we are speaking, seeing, and hearing what is going on around us in order to truly build and leave legacy to reach out to all of our children.
But what you did add to what you got you saying, we have to make sure we be real when we talking to the kids.
Because they can see a fake and a phony.
Yeah, we have to be real. What I mean by real, I'm talking about this being real for society, what's really out there in this atmosphere. We have to, it's no time to, this is touchy for me, it's no time to be butting up to them, trying to make them feel good that everything's going to be all right. No, make it real. Let them know this is what it's going to be. And when you get through talking to them, they're going to understand exactly what you're talking about, because these kids, me and my wife talk about all the time. Parents always say kids is smart. I don't ever say kids are smart no more, because newer generation is intelligent now. These kids are highly intelligent. So when you talk to these kids, you got to make sure you be on your P's and Q's. Let them know. They know when you are for real. They know when you speaking for value to them. They don't understand that. They're intelligent. They pick up on that. So when you step to the young kids, let them know that you are for real. And that's the way you show love. That's where you show strength. Let them know. Some things you may say to them they don't understand. Some things you might say to make them upset. But I guarantee you, when you get through explaining to that young individual, watch what happens.
So, and I'm going to say this because we have various types of our pages that are watching. So we got Facebook, we got YouTube, and we got LinkedIn. And I know there are different type of people there watching from different for different reasons, for different input. So I know you tune in to the Master Relationship Mechanic Show so that you can align your relationship with God, self, and others. So whether this is on a personal or a professional level, and you're trying to sharpen your relationships, the key here is identify what is legacy. What are you trying to leave? So that's every day. What are you being productive about, and why? There's a reason that you are on this assignment. So if you don't have a reason behind it, you're probably just being busy. There is something that you should be reaching at the end, and that is productivity. So that means you should be producing something at the end of it that creates prosperity, not just for you, but for the next generation and the next generation. And saying that it is not about just your house, it's about all of our kids. So whatever you're producing should create prosperity for multiple people who are your children, who affects you and your generation. That is when I align. So that takes around What is legacy? How we're building legacy. How we're building legacy. We're showing that we are the example, not just through conversation. We have to be more than just talking heads. We have to be willing to have the patience to go show people why we said it. And number three, of course, we in that of who are our children, and our children are everybody that we come in contact, we impact, and know that we are an impactor, we are an influencer, and our presence people should experience in a positive way, so that they feel like we have planted some type of seed in their life, so that way when that seed grows up, they can say and say, hey, I know who spoke this in my life, where this fruit, this good fruit came from. And that's the thing. Everybody wants to know that you were good fruit, where this good fruit came up. And let me put this disclaimer out again. We are not perfect people by any means. But like I said, I put out the challenge. If you feel like just singing something in the live or the replay and you come back and watch this, what is it that you think about us as a couple or each of us individually? What is it that you have seen seeds planted in? Because my husband does a wonderful social media ministry, which is Real Talk, and he has been doing it, I know, on Facebook. Since he's been on Facebook, he's very diligent and consistent with it. Whether you see it on our Facebook page or whether you see it on his personal page, it is a wonderful ministry that talks about how some steps every day about relationship. If that has ever planted a seed and shifted and grown something good in your life, give him an opportunity and say, hey, that's a legacy you have left in my life, and I pass it on to my kids, and will. So information that you get here, please pass it on. We did come here for a purpose, though. But that's why we were on the road. So we are happy that we were able to tune in, and we were obedient to actually have our equipment with us and did not leave it at home. So we did have our mobile studio with us to be obedient to get up and have this conversation with you all this morning. As always, I want to leave you with this. Make your today better than yesterday. And that means intentional. Do something today for yourself that will better your today, so you're not dwelling on what didn't happen for you yesterday, what went wrong on yesterday, but what can be to better today. So be intentional about it. We here almost at the noon hour where I say you meet yourself in the wild, wild west, because that's who the enemy that you should be meeting up in the wild, wild west, not anybody else. When you meet them in the wild, wild west, you should be killing the person who is trying to take you to the negative place in your life. So when you meet that person at noon today who is trying to take you in a different direction for the next 12 hours of the day, you shoot them down and say only positivity and victory there will be in today. And that is my simple thing I always want to leave you with here in noon. Make it intentional that today is better than yesterday. You have more good and better coming than has already happened. So just believe and expect in that. We got to jump off. And next Saturday, my clock is calendar, but I know we're supposed to be in the Maryland area soon. I don't know if we're going to be, is it next weekend or the weekend after? I'm not on my calendar, but we'll be in the Maryland area soon. Definitely check on the page for the events in the string, because I want to see you all if you are in that area, especially definitely live. So check on where we will be. And I always want you all to live your best life, have your best relationship with God, self, and others, and all three of them working together for God's good. See you all next Saturday.